Why is the silver price going down despite some of the good news and the good rallies we've recently had in the market? We're going to talk about that question. So we'll talk about this silver slide down that is happening right now. Why is this going down? We're going to talk about the gold price as well, sliding down just in the short term. And then we're also going to be talking about the biggest breaking news that you need to understand right now if you want to know where these financial markets can go next. We're going to talk about Kevin Walsh and why he is spooking the market out with his vague posting. And then we're also going to be talking about big incidents that are actually breaking out right now that actually could spell more potential disaster in the Middle East that we'll talk about, including updates about the Strait of Hormuz. And we'll also do an update about Ukraine and Russia as well. So we've got a huge amount of things to get through in today's video. I want to give you guys the big value so you can walk away from this video understanding what's going on in the market and just have a better understanding about what's going to happen next. And if you enjoy it, guys, just like the video. It's a signal. And we'll try and get above 50 views in this video. So we can get above 50 views and 5 likes. I'll be happy. And let's get straight into it. So you can see right here, look, silver price is going down. Gold price has been going down, right? So obviously a little bit of spookiness coming into the market. One thing the market really didn't like is Kevin Walsh and how he announced what he's going to do in the future. And basically what they didn't like is the fact that he's not going to give away any indications. He's getting extremely vague. And he says right here, I can't give you any guidance on what we're going to do next. And, but the market is picking up some potentially hawkish signals, even though he's vague posting. And generally, this is what he said next. This is what you need to understand. So inflation is still way above the Fed's 2% target, and prices are too high for most people. We will fix 5 years of misses on inflation. The Fed will no longer tell you in advance what its plans to do with interest rates. He watches stock market prices more than anything else when making decisions. Interest rates are hurting the housing market but are not slowing down financial markets. All 19 members are at the table agreed not to raise rates today. The 2% inflation target is not changing. He refused to say whether bond yields rising after today's decision concerns him. He refused to say whether he has spoken to Trump since becoming Fed chair. So basically, he said a whole bunch of nothing, and that spooked the market because they want to have more guidance. They want to know what's going to happen next, and everyone's kind of holding their breath to this guy, and now this guy's not going to say anything until the actual day. So the market is just left in a bit of a limbo about how it's going to operate, basically. But the key message is inflation is still going on. We are getting some good signals. So we do know to some degree the Iran thing, ideally it should be wrapping up, but there is a twist. And to some degree, it has everything to do with Lebanon. So this is going to test out whether this whole entire agreement holds true. So you guys know the news. There was a big agreement between America and Iran basically saying we're going to have peace. There's going to be a ceasefire, particularly in Lebanon. Now, this Lebanese situation has escalated overnight. There are huge clashes happening between Israel and Lebanon right now. And this is violent and it's not good. And what's going to happen is the Iranian response from this. So we do know, look, Israel is moving in big into Lebanon right now. The Israeli media in particular have been, and even the Israeli population have been very hostile right now to Trump's decision. So there's a huge amount of pressure coming in on Trump. You can see it in the headlines right here. 71% of Israelis don't trust Trump to look out for them in the Iran deal. Just 11% said Israel won the war, and Trump's deal is a catastrophic capitulation to Iran's aggressors, leaves Israel vulnerable and constrained. So what we have right here is we have a lot of hostile pressure coming in on Trump right now. So he's under a huge amount of pressure, and also at the same time, it's going to be tested out. So what happens in Lebanon, right? So does Iran actually react to this? So does Iran actually start to, fire upon Israel right now? So they said they were going to do it. Will they follow through with this? Or will they not follow through with this? That's the big question that needs to be answered this week, because obviously if they do retaliate to, this Lebanon situation, the whole cycle might escalate once again. So we're going to see how this all plays out, whether this actually escalates and breaks the MOU. And, that would be obviously pretty catastrophic if it does, right? So we're going to see right there what happens. But the good news is, look, oil is flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz for now, but that situation obviously is like a powder keg. Now, the other situation that is also spooking the markets to some degree is, as this Iran conflict is kind of paused for now, and we'll just see how it goes. The other situation that's heating up is Russia. So Russia is starting to feel the brunt of Ukrainian drones and missiles, and this time they've been coming into Moscow's doorstep. So drones reportedly struck an oil refinery only 10 miles from the Kremlin, hurling a storage tank lid into the sky like a frisbee. Fuel shortages are spreading, and Russia is now importing gasoline by sea. Kiev claims the tide is turning, and this is the moral of the story right here is, the Russians, I don't know what type of war they think they've been fighting, whether it's an honorable war, but the truth of the matter is the Ukrainians are still well alive, and they are making the situation, again, it's pushing back to more volatility basically right there. So we won't show the footage of it. So if we actually bring up the map right here and we have a look, so Ukraine is this, the Russians are all the way in here, this section. And where is Moscow? So Moscow's all the way up here. So this is how powerful the drones and the missiles are. They're able to strike all around Moscow at the moment. So it's obviously very volatile. And the war is a slow grind, lots of deaths, lots of violence happening in this conflict. And obviously that is another factor that is kind of spooking the market once again. So there's some big geopolitical factors in the background kind of erupting. Obviously, that's dampening the silver. And what we've seen out of these conflicts recently, if you've been a subscriber to this channel, I have to say, unfortunately, gold and silver haven't been holding up like they're supposed to be holding up during these times of, economic uncertainty. So that was one of the big narratives behind gold and silver. But it doesn't seem to do that. So there needs to be like a level of the economy and a level of geopolitical certainty where it does actually hold up. And that's more of a bubbling, calm geopolitical arena. But as we see these tensions continue to rise, there could be more volatility in the short term. I guess the good thing is, though, look, that's going to give people opportunities for long-term investing as well. So remember, when there is fear in the market, that's the best time to be researching. That's the best time to be potentially buying. That's according to Warren Buffett, right? That's what he says. When it's fearful, that's the time to be greedy. When people are greedy, that's the time to be fearful, right? So gold basically trading at a 50% discount, silver trading at a 50% discount from its all-time high of 120. And gold is, dropping a bit today, and so a lot of the markets, right? So it's a very volatile market, and there's a lot of things happening. So there's unfortunately a lot of things happening, but they're the main drivers, I would say, right now of gold, silver, and the financial markets. As we just have to see how this whole situation, the smoke settles, and lots of unhappy parties at the moment. So that is your update for today. I wish I could make it more bullish and happy, but I have to just be honest with you right now. It's just going to be volatile. So bunker down, watch the storm roll through. But I think, long term, there's going to be more money printing and money will continue to flow into assets. That's what I personally think. But again, not financial advice. And guys, that's your wrap for today. So have a good Friday. I will see you in the next video.